Okay, picture this. You're walking down a hallway and you hear somebody mention your child's name. You stop before you get to the doorway and listen in. The person is saying awful things about your child, talking about their intelligence, making comments about their clothes and the way they smell. They even start making fun of the food they eat and comparing the way they chew to an animal. What happens inside of you? I'm just starting to feel angry saying these words, but if somebody were saying that about my child, talking about them like they're less than human, making fun of my child in the most denigrating way, I will step in and defend my child. I will have words, and it's likely to get ugly. Now, the people in this story were using contemptuous words. Contempt is when we speak or act like a person is less than human, that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, that they're somehow broken. This often happens with people that are on the other side. We make them our enemies. We think or say things like, "How can you think that? There's something wrong with you. Are you even a human? Because no human would possibly think that. You're broken. You're fundamentally to the core broken, disgusting, and appalling." Now, we may not use those exact words, but that's our attitude. During election seasons, your political affiliation puts you in a camp, and the people on the other side of the aisle, sometimes they become the enemies. And then when we hear and read about them, we want to destroy them. How can they possibly think that? They're broken for even pondering that thought. Contempt. In fact, contempt is such a terrible emotion that in close relationships, such as marriage, there is a 97% probability of divorce if one of the partners regularly expresses contempt toward the other. Additionally, with contempt, the giver and the receiver has negative emotional and physical effects. When we express contempt towards others, I like to say it leaves a residue on our soul, but in more concrete terms, when we express contempt, we end up feeling a boomerang of contempt towards ourselves because we expressed contempt. When we're done treating people with contempt, we have feelings of shame, embarrassment, guilt, which long-term actually leads to negative health effects. This causes both parties to experience emotional distress. The point is, contempt and the expression of contempt is one of the greatest causes of division in our society. If you consider yourself a Christian, a follower of Jesus, we believe that every human is an image bearer of God. We see this in Genesis where God says, "Let us create humankind in our image." To understand this a little bit better, we can't think of this like somehow we bear a physical resemblance to God, like when you see a child and say, "Oh my, she looks like her mother." There's actually something deeper here. An image bearer is a representative of God. That image represents God. It's precious to God and will receive the full protection of God. Let's go back to the person talking badly about your child, the parent in that story. That's actually God. He's the one standing outside the door, or in the case of our invisible God, he's in the room, and he doesn't take too kindly to our contemptuous words towards one of his children, his image bearer. Now let's move this to the political arena. No matter what you think of the other party's representatives, politicians, or followers, whether you like it or not, they are image bearers of God. All of them. And as such, as God's image bearers, they are precious to Him. So when you choose contempt, you are choosing to do something that is damaging God's image bearer. You are choosing to represent God's image bearer as less than human, as fundamentally broken. Remember, Genesis 1 and 2 aren't chapters about God's followers. They're chapters about all of God's creation. Whether a person has chosen for or against God, they remain His image bearers, which demands that we treat them with love, respect, and kindness. That's exactly how God treats us, and that's exactly how He expects us to treat them. So how do we combat contempt? You got it, with love, respect, and kindness, LRK. Contempt cannot coexist with love, respect, and kindness, LRK. LRK will crowd out contempt in our lives. So, now practically, what do? Now, here's one idea. When Jesus told us to love our neighbors and pray for our enemies, that's LRK. Pray for people on the other side of the aisle. Pray specifically for that person's thriving. And if you can't pray for that, then pray for God's forgiveness for them. Or even just say, "I pray for," and you put in their name. What you're doing, even with the simplest prayer, is praying LRK into their lives. And you know what starts to happen? Your heart begins to change. Here's another exercise. Think of 5 things that are good about the other political party and 5 things that your political party isn't getting right. This kind of exercise will remind you that both sides are getting it right on some things and wrong on others. It brings LRK into the contempt because you're thinking graciously, lovingly about the other side. We also have another tool. It's a free, downloadable 30-day LRK gratitude journal, and it's on our website, mustdobetter.org. This is to help you with the process. The gratitude journal is a way to daily focus on what is truly important in your life. Politics are really important, but there are other things that are even more important, and those things you should be grateful for. Okay, one more exercise. Introduce the fruit of the Spirit into conversations. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Bring LRK into the conversation. How can you speak lovingly? How can you speak respectfully? Speak with a kindness, a graciousness towards somebody else's point of view. All right, it's discussion time. As you go to discussion time, remember the 4 positions we hold in the conversations, right? It's open-handed, open-minded, open-hearted, and then open your mouth. Open-handed. You have opinions, but be open-handed with the truth you subscribe to. Maybe there's a nuance you haven't thought of. Open-minded. Ask good questions and seek understanding. Be the investigator, not the teacher. Open-hearted. Find commonality with an open heart. Then you can open your mouth to express your thoughts, which is always done with LRK. Love, respect, and kindness. All right, enjoy the discussion, and everybody, let's live, love, respect, and kindness.